What's good, YouTube? In today's video, we're going to be playtesting the Riders of Rohan commander deck. The purpose of today's video is to go over how this commander deck plays so that new players watching this video and thinking about purchasing this precon will learn how to think while playing this commander deck so you know what order to play your cards in while you're playing with this commander deck. Just going to cut the deck really quickly. We'll draw 7 and we'll see what we get. So we draw into a Earthquake, a Mountain, Fealty to the Realm, Exotic Orchard, Theoden, Boromir, and a Plains. So if I look at this, we have 1, 2 lands, 3 lands, a creature to play on turn 4, 3, and a board wipe. So I'm thinking that we're going to keep this hand right here. We'll draw into a Fiend Hunter, which is a removal spell, which we are going to be able to cast, which is nice. I think in this situation here, we'll just play the Exotic Orchard and pass. And for the purpose of this video, this is just going to tap for a land of any color. Draw into a Terramorphic Expanse. We don't have a turn to play here, so we're going to play the Terramorphic Expanse and sacrifice this. And we're going to grab an island because that's what we're missing. That's going to enter the battlefield tapped, and then we would pass the turn. We'll untap and then draw into a command tower, which is another color fixing land that we could have here. We'll play that command tower. And now, let's say that our opponent has some mana dorks in play. Mana dorks are creatures that tap for mana. So we're going to tap this for red, and then 1, 2, and we're going to cast an Earthquake. Earthquake is going to deal X damage, which in this case will be 2, to each creature without flying in each player. So we'll just go ahead and take out those creatures, which is going to help us in the long run. We'll pass the turn on an empty board. We have the Visions of Glory. This is a pretty decent card. It's going to fill up the board with creatures. Put that into our hand. We'll play a land for turn, which is going to be this Mountain. And now that we have 4 mana, we can cast Boromir. Boromir is going to enter the battlefield, and we're going to look at the top 6 cards of our library. We're going to grab a human, put it into our hand, or an artifact. So we'll pay 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll play Boromir, and now we look at the top 6 cards of our library. So the top 6 of our library: the Lost to Legend, the Command Sphere, a mountain, an island, and another land. Okay, so we get a Commander Sphere because we do get an artifact that will go to our hand. So it does say to reveal, so we'll show this to our opponents. This will go into our hand, and then after that, we'll just pass the turn. So we'll untap and draw here into a Marshal's Anthem, which is going to buff our creatures. Remember that the whole purpose of this deck is to get a bunch of creatures into play, at least 6, so that we can draw cards with Eowyn. And then if a human enters the battlefield while Eowyn is in play, we're going to create 2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. So right now in this situation, technically we could play a land for turn here and then tap all this mana to play Eowyn. If we do that, we would not be able to draw a card next turn, because even if I cast Eowyn now and then play one of these creatures next turn, we would only have 5 creatures total, which wouldn't allow us to draw the card. And keep in mind, new players, every single time your commander dies, we add 2 to its mana value. So this costs 5 right now. This would cost 7 if this were to die. So we kind of want this ability to trigger as quickly as possible. So we're just going to wait on casting this and then just continue to ramp after we play that land. So we're going to pay 3. We'll play that Commander Sphere that we got off of Boromir, and then we'll tap 3. And we're going to go ahead and cast the Fiend Hunter. Fiend Hunter is going to exile a creature an opponent controls. So now that that's happened, we'll go ahead and pass the turn. Remembering that we don't really want to, we probably shouldn't be attacking with our creatures either. Let's just use our creatures to block our life total and keep them on the board, because we need 6 creatures to draw off of Eowyn. So this deck kind of wants to sit back, and only we're going to be aggressive when we have a massive board. We'll draw for turn into a Selfless Squire, which is, we can play at flash speed to kind of take damage. Now in this situation here, it would be safer for us to cast Eowyn. We will have 1 mana left over. However, if we cast 1 creature next turn, we'll be able to get to that 6. So So we're gonna pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll play the Eowyn. And now that Eowyn enters the battlefield, we're gonna go to combat. We haven't had another human enter the battlefield, so we're not gonna be creating our tokens, and we don't have 6 creatures. So we're just gonna end up passing the turn here. Eowyn kind of acts like a really good blocker. She does have first strike, so we would then pass. And now is where the deck's gonna start to do something. So we draw into an Heirloom Blade. Okay, this is gonna go into our hand, and now that we have this mana here, we're going to play Theoden, the King of Rohan. Now, when Theoden enters the battlefield, or another human enters the battlefield, target creature we control is gonna gain double strike until the end of turn. So we're gonna pay 1, 2, 3. We're gonna play Theoden, okay? Now that fulfills Eowyn's ability, so we're gonna move to combat. Because a human entered the battlefield under our control this turn, we're gonna create a human knight and a human knight. And now that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures, we're gonna draw a card. We draw a Port Town, which is just a land here. And then we're gonna go ahead and give 2 creatures double strike. I'm gonna give the 2 human knights double strike as each of them enter the battlefield. And then I'm gonna have, after Theoden enter the battlefield, let's give Boromir double strike. So when we go to combat this turn, we would attack with 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures, and now you're kind of getting the feel for how this deck plays. We only really want to be offensive when we have those creatures on the board. And also keep in mind, like, it may even be smart to not even attack here in this situation, just so that we can keep this 6, so that the next turn when we would untap and draw, right, we draw into this plains here, we could play a land and then a creature, so that when we go to combat, we create another 2 human knights, we would draw another card, which is land, and then now we have more than 6, so we're always going to be able to maintain the number of creatures that we have on the board. But keep in mind, the one thing that we haven't done, which I think what this deck is meant for, is to play around the Monarch. So I think the idea is to keep a large number of creatures on the board so that we can maintain the Monarch, and the Monarch essentially is going to allow us to draw cards at the end of our turn, which you can see with this card right here. I hope that you learned a lot by watching this video. If you like videos like this, you can like this video and YouTube will send you more videos like this to watch. Also keep in mind that if you're not subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe. Everything on this channel is designed for players that are brand new to Magic the Gathering to learn how to play the game. I always say the same thing when I end these videos. Always remember, eat healthy, okay? Work out every single day. Most importantly, you guys got to remember to believe in yourself, all right? Peace out, people.